Hi guys, this is the first powwow. It's two industrial designers who are trying their luck in the space of UX yet again. Myself, Rushi Patel. On the other side is James Blake. James.
Okay.
James and I actually, just a little brief story. We met in the industrial design school here in San Francisco Academy of Art, where we actually sought out to become automotive designers. We ended up becoming that. Now, 2026, we have had some experience under both our belts, and we're just trying to venture out into the space of UX yet again in the light of all the emerging tech. Should I say the word, two-letter word, AI? So, yeah, we're trying to see how we can be relevant and how we can put the dent into the universe of design. And without further ado, James, would you like to introduce yourselves and share
Sure.
about this talk?
Sure. My name's James Blake. Like Rishi has said, I went to Academy of Art with him. We had many a late night designing cars. One of my mentors was Tom Matano, who recently passed away, unfortunately, but he was in charge of the whole program since graduating because we graduated a while ago. I went into the automotive space, then into the physical product design space, and I invented a couple things and have some patents. Been a college professor, and now I'm in the UX space. And we're going to talk about job searching, the state of the industry, and just kind of how we do it, and AI, and kind of the world, I guess, right?
Yeah,
That's that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. So,
it's sorry, you were saying something, James?
no, but I can kind of kick it off if you want.
Yeah. So I was just gonna like just sit and first of all contemplate how quickly the whole design space has changed over the years. I think the first time industrial design, going back, through time immemorial, when it became even a thing was, I feel when mass production began. Like this is when like people like Henry Ford started to produce vehicles in a larger scale. And then the whole American capitalistic manufacturing philosophy came to be. That's when you saw, I believe I'm very comfortable saying that design, the whole industry was sort of had its genesis in United States because England was doing mass production, like making amazing motorcycles and cutlery and pens and defense stuff. But United States was the first country to actually make design glamorous. Would you agree, James? Just to understand where we're coming from.
Yeah, and I'd say there's a certain level of mischievousness that Americans have that's lost in other countries, if that makes sense.
That's a very good. That's a good one, man. I might clip it as a title.
There you go.
That's uh-huh. Go ahead.
But like the automatic car transmission was invented by a drunk who didn't want to have to shift gears. Like that's
Don't tell
a
me
fact.
that's for real.
That's for real. That's
Oh.
he was just like 1926. He was tired of shifting gears driving home from the bar, and he had like got his license suspended X amount of times. So he invented the automatic transmission that we still use, the same general concept, like it's been improved upon, but that is where it came from. And that mischievousness is, I feel like, part of the American spirit that a
Hmm.
lot of countries don't understand. Like, you know, we're all about having adventures and just having a story to tell. Most of us don't really care about money as long as we have enough to pay the bills and we're comfortable, right? But we do care about stories to tell, like our grandkids in the future. Like we're all about the story,
Hmm.
right? And the adventure and living life. And I think that comes from just the westward expansion and discovering basically the United States, you know. And that's just always been a part of America. And, in England and in Germany and other places, like they're very by the rules, by the book, and, you know, I just don't think they truly understand that. And I think that's trickled into design here. You know what I mean?
Mm. But I feel the pendulum has swung the other way now. Like what we, or I guess America did, trying to juxtapose to Europe's philosophy, then now Asian countries like China or perhaps India are trying to imitate that, emulate that thinking.
No, I agree. I think I mean, it's changed a bit, but yeah, I agree. Um,
Everybody gets their wave to ride,
yeah,
right? But I guess what an impressive wave America has ridden, I guess, by lack of better English, sorry. But I feel they still have a comeback to do, United States. Like when I see in Detroit watch companies like Shimola or like some
yeah,
companies like Rivian. I know I'm not a big fan of the design or Tesla, perhaps. I definitely see that um, almost like that design parasite still inside the genes of such people like Elon or other uh,
yeah.
revolutionary, I would say, people. Yeah. I guess, okay, so without digressing too much, I know we can talk in depth about this, but my whole point was to throw some light in the past so we can understand how far we come. So from that, how design started to today, I feel yes, there are thousands of tools for literally every person on the planet to design whatever they want. However, the quality is all-time low, and that just sums up what I'm going through right now. Is like there's jobs out there, but then there's also so many people that think they can design
Hmm.
versus people like you and me who actually have credibility and the foundational knowledge, who are like, have to sort of, have some uphill battle here.
Yeah.
So it's Mhm.
I mean, in credit to what we did in our, learning and others, we were in school, they'd be like, okay, you have to have, say, 100 sketches, right? For next class. I think that's about normal. And we're like, okay, and we got it done. They may not all be renders or like our favorites, but we did it, right? Now fast forward to now, when I was teaching a couple classes, I'd be like, okay, please give me 30 sketches by next week. So that's a full week. I mean, if you time management, you break that down, that's roughly like 5 sketches a day, right?
Mhm.
And a sketch should take no longer than 5 minutes, right? So that's the point of a sketch. It's not a render. And there were students that I had that would consistently tell me that I'm assigning too much homework and that they can't get it done and not show up with the work done. And, then I wouldn't give them a passing grade because, they didn't get the work done. And it's right there in the syllabus. I can't treat you differently just because I like you. You know what I mean? So, and here you and me are showing up to class. It's like every Tuesday, Thursday with 100 sketches, basically. So we're doing like 100 to 200 sketches a week, right? And even to us, we're like at the time freaking out because we're not competing with, at the time, Art Center was doing like 1,000 sketches a week, right?
Mhm.
So we knew we had an uphill battle competing for those same jobs. Now, I'm not trying to rag on this generation and be like this generation, but now they have AI, and some of them would show up with, AI generated images, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like you're going to school to learn to draw and to be designers, and yeah, this looks passable and semi good, but there are tells that it's made by AI, so now you're not learning the skills. So hypothetically I pass you, right?
Hmm.
You go off to the real world, you have this portfolio that's all AI, and then, HR is going to look at it and be like, this is all AI and pass on you. Or they don't catch it, they bring you in, they hire you, and then they realize everything you're doing is from AI, and then they fire you because what do they need you? They have AI, right? So it's a little bit of a struggle. I do know that some employers value a college degree from a certain time period more than others now because of that, which is sad and kind of weird, but
Hmm.
that's kind of where we're at in the world. It's not an opinion, it's just facts. Um,
You mean the AI slop that's
yeah,
easier to pick versus the arduous or like the very cognitively challenging, like actual organic design work,
yeah,
which sometimes actually falls flat on its face because it's not glamorous. Honestly, like when you do doodles or when you do those rough ideas with hand or even using digital tools,
yeah,
compared to what even the shittest AI generated sketch work that is churned out by some of the tools is far better in terms of just the initial appeal. So
yeah,
it's also how it's been perceived. So I think the challenge is if people who are reviewing such work, they take a stance. I think the people who are generating are gonna change. I feel,
yeah,
you know, it's I think there's always the one beauty is in the eyes of the perceiver. So
yeah.
right.
No, agree.
Yeah, so that then we talked about the history and the current status of wow, where are we and who are we against? Any idea, James, like and how to extrapolate the future? Like
Ooh.
where is it gonna land?
Well, for a long time there was a debate over, you know, first it was like what is going to be the type of engine and car driving us in the future, right? And I'm going to look at this even more as a broader, as just design as a whole, right? Because, you know, industrial design isn't just car design, right? Like we're getting into, or we're in UX now, but there's physical product design, there's POP, there's CMF, there's all kinds of little branches on the industrial design tree, right? So just because you didn't make it as one sect of industrial design doesn't mean there isn't a home for you in industrial design, right? So that being said, I think it's very, very important to understand form plus function, like as a whole, right?
Yeah.
And also to some extent understand the brand and the heritage and bring it all together. And if you can do that, I think you could probably design for anyone, right?
Mhm.
But not having an understanding of the heritage and their design language and not having an understanding of what this shadow is indicating and what this light is indicating to create the form, you're not understanding what it truly gonna look like. You just have a hot picture on a page, right?
Mhm.
And then on top of that, you need to understand how it's going to work. And a lot of times as an industrial designer, they'll just tell you like, okay, this watch is going to be using, these gears in these places, and it's going to have this type of battery or whatever, right? Maybe it's solar powered. Some of the high-end ones, they get the, what do you call it? Electricity from your movement on your wrist when you move your hand and stuff, and that generates the electricity, right? So that being said, you're told what's going to be in it, and then you design around it to make it work. And sometimes you have input. You get to say like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we did it this way, right? We use this new technology that just came out, and you have to figure out how that's going to work. But at the core, you need to understand. It's kind of like vibe coding, because that's the thing now. You need to have basic understanding of the code, but you don't need to know how to code, right? You just need to have a basic understanding of it. So you need to have a basic understanding of the engineering and what's going on in there, but you don't need to physically be able to do all that.
Mm,
Um, and I think that's something that a lot of people miss when it comes to industrial design, because, you know, I have a friend who designed really beautiful, great car at Dodge, right?
mm,
And, you know, it's a beautiful, great looking car, but has shit reliability, so nobody bought it.
mm,
Um, and it's not his design that was bad. It's not because it looks bad. It's because, you know, the reliability isn't good. And, when you have a product like that, it also needs to be reliable. It needs to work. And that's the other thing. It's, as designers, you need to make sure it works. And sometimes that's not your fault, you know. So if you want a good selling product or a good functioning product, you need to take into account many different things. Like you need to take into account accessibility for like color. You need to take into account the history, and you got to make sure it works. And I mean, sometimes that's not all your fault, but you got to bring it all together as one giant package. And that's why industrial design is a very weird, unique, lovely place. You know what I mean? It's a cool challenge because at the end of the day, we're not just painters and we're not just graphic designers. Like it has a purpose, like 50 years from now, they're going to be reusing these cars or these clothes or these watches for
mm,
movies about this time period, like you're really making a mark on society. Like they're gonna have, you know, movies about this time period, right? And people are gonna have iPhones like the crappy ones we have now, right? But, what are we gonna have in the future? Are we gonna have Neuralink where we have like,
mm.
chips in our heads and we just call people telepathically by then? People are going to be like, why do they have these weird, rectangles to talk to people? You know what I mean? These are things you have to kind of think about. Like I had to explain to my kids, like, oh, that's a record player. Like that's how people used to listen to music. Like now we stream it, like
That's
completely
incredible.
different,
Yeah.
and I had to explain why the save icon is
Copy.
the floppy disk, right? Yeah, they have no idea what a floppy disk is or why, but I had to explain the rationale behind it. They just know that means save, and they don't know why. So,
So I guess if you were to summarize like the futuristic outlook, I got so much information from you, but how would you summarize that in a
um,
I know it's
I,
hard, but I'm throwing
yeah,
spotlight.
I'd say, I mean, we're always,
I guess what should we do to have an ideal future or somewhat ideal future? There's no such thing as so, but
yeah. Um, I'd say for a while we've been on a 0 to 1 path. Like, if you've read Peter Thiel's book about startups, and 0 to 1 is basically inventing new technology.
right.
And then, like, 1 to many is just expanding upon that technology and, multiplying, right? And I think we're in a 0 to 1 in like digital technology and like computer technology right now because everything's rapidly changing there.
Mm-hmm.
But I think when it comes to like energy and many other things, we're still in like a 2 to 3.
So
If
you
that makes sense.
okay? So you're saying other sectors require 0 to 1 as well.
Yeah.
I think we are like tunnel visioned on this one area, which is creating revenue. Everybody's hyped up about it. Even AI is actually serving that particular sector.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
AI cannot help you mine better. I mean, yeah, there's like geospatial or like all those analysis tools and whatnot, scanning, but that's just to find. Like it cannot really do much. Like it cannot look outward.
Yeah.
So okay, yeah, very nice, James. Very nice. Wow, you opened a lot of can of worms. So I think this conversation, as I expected, I was telling James earlier too, it can go in any direction. I think it's starting to get there. We talked about the history, the current state of affairs, and what the future could look like. What are we working with in terms of context? So I think future conversations are going to be more fun. I think I got some ideas, James. What do you think?
Sounds great. I got a few.
Yeah. Okay. So I think for now we'll end it here. And guys, I want you to subscribe to this particular channel for future anything design related talk, design culture, and cars sometimes too. We'll have dedicated episodes on automotive design. But this was the intro, and thank you for watching if you're there. And over and out.
Yeah.